Hello everybody, it's Siobhan again from At One Wellbeing, and I hope you're having a really wonderful Saturday morning. Louise and I were talking last week about the topic for, what we would do over the past week, and we focused in on resilience because resilience is so important to our mental health and well-being, and being able to be resilient to even, for example, the massive change that has taken place recently really does a lot to maintain good mental health. And we have touched on some of the key elements during the week on what resilience is, but today what I want to do is take you through a short presentation on problem solving, because if you're able to, solve problems, confront challenges and do something really proactive, that is a really positive way to build your resilience. And we're doing it a wee bit differently today. What I'm going to do is take you through a very short PowerPoint presentation, and this presentation really talks about problem solving and some techniques to help you to solve problems and some techniques to help you to really understand your challenges and to overcome those challenges. So what I want to do now is to share the screen and take you through this presentation. There we go. That's the presentation. I'll just put it into slideshow. And here we go. So problem solving and some of the questions that you can ask yourself. I know as well as there's a head in my body that at this time we are encountering problems day in and day out, and sometimes we don't really know how to deal with those problems. So I think it's just really important for us to understand that there is a process that you can use to help you to overcome challenges and to overcome problems. So I don't think I have to tell anybody that it can be really easy to sink into negativity when we're facing challenges. So what I want to do is to talk about a process which is about discover, dream, design and deliver. And there are a list of questions which I invite you to complete. And even, if some of your family members are having problems at the minute or facing massive challenges, use this exercise in them as well, because what it does is it zeroes in on your strengths, looks at opportunities, instead of focusing on shortcomings and barriers and all of the issues that you're facing. So when we talk about discovering is about discovering what personal strengths you can apply to any situation and what core strengths you possess as an individual that help you be successful in the past. And sometimes when we're facing big problems or small problems, we can even forget that we actually have got this far and we have been able to solve problems in the past. But at the minute, the pandemic, the lockdown, everything is changing, and sometimes our problems can be exacerbated as a result. So the next one is about dreaming. It's about imagining the future. What does success look like for you when you think about the problem or issue that you're having? Then we design, what will it take to get there? Identify the steps, big and small, that will help you get from the current situation to your desired outcome. And then, when you have done all of that, deliver. What even tiny step will it take to get you started on that path? Okay? Understand everything we're talking about? Ready to go to the next slide? So what I want you to do in this presentation is even to take a piece of paper, and I have an exercise on this which I can share with you. Even send us a private message if you want, like a Word document that we can share with you. So the first thing to look at is, what is your challenge at the minute, right? So if it's a challenge around being afraid to go out of the house, or you go into shops and you feel very anxious, or even challenges around doing more exercise or eating less junk food, or cutting out that one, maybe 2 glasses of wine. What is your biggest challenge at the minute? And so what is the problem here, and what is the biggest problem here? So say, for example, if I wanted to take more exercise, go out and do more walking, well, I suppose my motivation levels would be the problem here. Although I have overcome that just by simply getting a body. But ask yourself, what is the biggest problem here? And then, when we're feeling there are problems around us and, we're thinking more negatively about things, is there anything that is going well right now? And then ask yourself, what judgments am I making about myself right now? So say, for example, if it is exercise, I'm too lazy, I can't be bothered, I have no motivation, what judgments are you making about yourself? There's no point in me doing it because it's not going to make any difference. This type of thing, the dialogue that goes on in your own head. So have you handled a situation like this before? And have you handled it successfully? Because when we reflect back and think about things that we've handled in the past, maybe bigger things, that instills confidence in us to actually look at this problem or this challenge in a different way. So, am I being critical of myself right now? So are you being critical of yourself right now? If you're having problems and challenges, are you letting that inner voice be really critical of you? And you know, it can run riot in your own head, and we've already done an exercise in addressing the inner critic and that self-critic. So are you being critical of yourself? And are there any possibilities around this issue that you actually haven't thought of yet? And I know that's a really difficult question to ask because, you know, if you're having problems and challenges and issues, like trying to think of something that you haven't thought of can be a challenge. But even when you ask yourself that question, it opens up a whole new array of things that you can actually apply to the situation. If this challenge was overcome already, how did I overcome it? So that's a wee bit about, you know, projecting yourself into a situation where you don't have this problem anymore. And you're looking back and you're going, oh, right, okay, how did I solve this problem? You know, what did I do to overcome this problem? And sometimes there are things that we don't admit out loud to ourselves. So is there something that you actually haven't admitted out loud to yourself yet? And just think through all of these questions and how these questions take you on a journey from where you are and from the problem to actually being more solution focused and more action focused. All right. So what's the easy way forward here? And sometimes you might say, well, easy way forward is just forget about it and do nothing. You know, maybe there is another way forward. So say, for example, if you're having relationship difficulties or, you know, you're feeling really under pressure, is there an easy way forward? You know, could you have a conversation with somebody? Could you do something really simple to help yourself? Write down what your desired outcome is, because when you think about problems, it can become so overwhelming that you can't even see an end to it. So what about writing down your desired outcome? So my desired outcome, for example, with the walking might be to walk 5 miles a week. So that desired outcome actually focuses my mind on taking the first step. How does it feel when you get there? Because as I said, you know, when you're having problems and challenges and they're right here, right in front of you, you can't even see around them. How does it feel when you actually get to your desired outcome? And indeed, how does it feel if you don't? Because, you know, sometimes we can become stuck, really, really stuck. And when you ask yourself, how does it feel when I actually have overcome this problem or solved this problem or overcome this challenge? You know, that positivity, that sense of positivity is so inspiring. But how does it feel if you don't? Can actually be the push that you need to actually overcome the problem. And you know what? Thinking in this way and addressing problems using mechanisms like this builds your resilience as you go along, because if we don't have the techniques and the tips and the tools to overcome problems, well, then we can become very, very stuck. And then every problem that comes along becomes a bigger problem and it becomes harder to overcome. So just using exercises and asking questions like this and answering them for yourself can be really helpful in building your resilience. So the last question I would invite you to ask yourself, when you have gone through this process, and take your time at it, you know what, there's no rush. But the most important thing is to identify that challenge, to identify the thing that is really keeping you where you're at, maybe unhappy, maybe feeling stressed, maybe feeling anxious. What is the challenge? And go through that series of questions. And then at the end, what is the very first step you will take? And what is the very first step that will make this challenge easier, right? So if you even come to the conclusion of one tiny step, one small step that you can do for yourself to overcome challenges and problems, that in itself is a motivating factor. That in itself just gets you started. And as I said, when you are able to better solve problems, challenges, and issues, it gives you confidence in the fact that you can do it. And when you have more confidence, your self-esteem can build as well. And you know what? These are all important elements of resilience. And when you begin to be able to solve problems more routinely, more quickly, that builds your own optimism. And optimism, again, is a really important factor in resilience. So I know that was a wee bit different today, I hope you found the series of questions useful. As I said, I have an exercise that I can send to you if you want, and then you get started yourself. Get started and do it. So have a wonderful Saturday, have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you soon. All the best now. Bye.